Good day and welcome again to my channel. If we have not met before, my name is Rikus. Let us dive straight into a video about one of the world's most iconic mountains, Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. In fact, the world's tallest single standing mountain, and hiking the magnificent, spectacular and sensational Londorosi Route. We flew from Nairobi's Wilson's domestic airport in Kenya to Kilimanjaro airport, but I know that Ethiopian Airlines fly directly to this airport. At this Tanzanian airport, come with lots and lots of patience when arriving, as the speed at the immigration and custom counters are, well, what we call African time. But it does come with a great big smile. I asked my good mate David from Australia to join the hike, and it took him between 3 and 4 nanoseconds to confirm his participation. That time includes getting his wife's permission.
How are you feeling?
Great. Haven't done any walking. What's the name of this place again?
Hugo's.
Lots of meat.
So what do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
I think we're going to drive for 4 hours, then when we get there it's going to be a shambles.
Okay.
And then finally we'll get to do some walking for about 3 or 4 hours.
What do you think about the whole adventure?
Bring it on. Bring it
Good
on.
stuff.
Bring it on.
And what an adventure it was. Londorosi is the longer route amongst the more popular routes on Kilimanjaro, and it lasts 7 days. And there are many reasons why we would suggest to take this route. 1, it offers you the best chance of reaching the top of Kilimanjaro as you acclimatize to the altitude better than on the other routes. 2, you see a much larger variety of topography and vegetation change. And 3, the slope and ascent are not as steep as the other routes. We were lucky with the weather as we had only rain the very first afternoon, but do come prepared. I will make another video on all the essential gear, but basically we just had to bring along our clothes and sleeping bag in a duffel bag. All other equipment we rented for free as part of the service. And I cannot stress enough paying a little bit more for a good operator. We support local companies, and the Tanzanian Popote and their crew did an incredible job, not just getting us to the top in one piece, but they provided us with super large tents, comfortable mattresses, and the friendliest of service one can wish. The vegetation on the lower slopes consists of beautiful rainforests. And on day 2, you will suddenly break out into a low shrubland filled with heather. And from then on, the changes as you go up are quite dramatic until you end up with a Martian-looking landscape. Unlike on Mount Everest, there is nobody living along the slopes of the mountain, and therefore we have to trek with more equipment and needed a lot more porters. These men and porters are superhuman beings. They are allowed to carry maximum 15 kilograms, and they leave you for dead along the trail when they start the morning after you leave, break down camp, pass you along the way and set up camp before you get there. They would await our arrival every day and greeted us with hot water, beautiful warm towel, fantastic steaming coffee, and on this day even with song and dance. We love these wonderful gentlemen who would have carried us to the top if need be. We felt more comfortable in our tents than on the huts provided on some of the other trails. Our tents were super clean, they were cozy, and I'm sure warmer than the huts. We even had a proper toilet that went all the way up to base camp, because unless you have a death wish, you don't want to use the public toilets. Talking about toilets, on day 2, I got diarrhea, which is quite a common indication of altitude according to our guide. And that poor rock that gave cover to my posterior will need psychological treatment for an eternity. After that moment, David never walked behind me ever again, and I don't blame him either. However, don't take pills like Imodium to stop that. And it was David who got to the supermarket checkout point back home with an armful of seed bars, health bars and glucose sticks as per our take-along list. He dropped every single one at the last minute and took instead Snickers and Mars bars. Much, much, much better. Barranco Camp is probably the most beautiful on the trail. This is where some other trails join, so from here on there will be a lot more hikers compared to the first 3 days. Training was rather intense and we hit the mountain super fit. Age is definitely not important. What is important is to take it slow from day one, have some decent fitness and pick a longer route like Londorosi to acclimatise better. Barranco Wall is infamous and a tough start with a sheer rock face of a few hundred feet, but the views keep spurring you on and base camp is calling you from afar. It is really hard to quantify what is decent fitness, but we saw overweight people who probably thought it was a walk in the meadows being carried off the mountain by their porters, feet dragging through the ground. On the other hand, we saw top fit soldiers throwing up shortly after they came racing past us. And it's not just altitude that will prevent you from getting to the top, it's also attitude, the will to make it. The most grueling day was definitely the day going to the top and then down the same day. 18 hours of walking. After a short sleep of no more than 3 hours, we started hiking at shortly after 11 p.m. Yes, just before midnight. It took us nearly 6 hours to get to the rim and another hour to the highest point along the crater's edge. But it was also the most rewarding, with a sunrise stretching over 200 kilometers of horizon, seeing remnants of the fast disappearing glaciers and feeling as if you are standing on top of the world with a great mate. All this made this hike an unforgettable experience and one I cannot recommend enough. The altitude at Uhuru Point, meaning peace, the highest point on Kilimanjaro, is 5,895 meters or 18,000 feet above sea level. But trust me, your spirits fly on jet streams in the heavens above. If you climb Kilimanjaro or wish to climb it, leave your comments below. And if you liked this video, please click the like and the subscribe button, and I look forward to see you soon again on my travel channel with Safari for All.